Hello and welcome, guys, to this edition of Woman to Woman. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, your professional mentor and speaker. It is indeed a pleasure to greet you here on the platform today, as today we have our first ever male guest co-host here on the Woman to Woman set. So we're so delighted to have Mr. Frederick Geiger here with us in the studio for this edition of Woman to Woman as we continue season 4 talking about relationships. And like I mentioned in a previous episode, we want to look at relationships from all capacities, because when we say relationship, we can think one way or another, but relationship is in everything and involved in every aspect of our life. So welcome, Frederick, to the set, and tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, I'm a 50-year-old male. Well, I shouldn't have told my age, but I'm basically, I'm husband, father, author of poetry, travel agent. I do health and wellness by way of CBD, and I've been working with the city for 27 years. I'm ready to retire. Don't put that out there, but just basically, this is me, bald head Fred. But I'm your typical guy. I love communicating with people and learning new things and expressing myself as well. But I just enjoy doing what I do.
Yeah, and we're delighted to have you as our guest co-host here on the show today. Males out here, sometimes we need to lighten up. Let me just say that. Sometimes we need to lighten up a little bit on you men. But you said a catchphrase that I thought was real catchy, bald head Fred.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
I thought that was a real catchphrase. So careful how you use that and throw that around. It might stick. It might stick for some of these women out here watching from our network on the video version of this session. But anyway, we are so delighted to have you. I couldn't help but to notice you said you are a lover or a writer of poetry. Go ahead and give me a little background on that.
I've been writing. October 24th will make 21 years of writing poetry. And of course, it was, how can I put it? It was a vice for me. It was something that I used in the beginning as an outlet. And believe it or not, I started writing poetry because of loneliness. You know how we have a habit of surrounding ourselves with people and thinking that the people that surround us can be a huge benefit. Not if your heart is hurting, not if you feel an emptiness. So I needed to find something that will allow me to express myself, even if I didn't tell the world. I could just write it down on paper. So I started writing in the beginning. Everything I wrote, believe it or not, was always exclamation points on the end, like I was yelling. And I was like, well, why you write like that? Are you angry or something? So people would ask me, are you angry when you write? I said, nope. So for the first maybe 5 or 6 years, that's the way I was writing until I had an opportunity to do spoken word with the band. And I did a piece of poetry that was very sad. It was just, the band was like, what is he saying? This is not that type of venue. This is not that type of event. But I had to grow. So I started writing based upon experiences in my life versus trying to please an audience. Because when you become transparent in your writings as well as your speaking, people can say, well, I can relate to that, instead of it sounding like sticks and stones may break my bones, or roses are red, violets are blue. So I've been writing for again, 21 years, and I have 4 books, and I enjoy it. And I like reading other folks' poetry too. So it can't always be about me.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Poetry is a little more intimate than just regular writing. So what do you say to that male out here, or to even that woman out here that is listening or watching the broadcast, and when you say you love poetry, who may in their mind, their perception, to where that seems weak for a male to be a lover of poetry or even write poetry, because, you know, we have our biases, we have our way of thinking, or
Right.
our perception of what man is. So what do you say to that man who maybe needs an outlet like poetry or writing, who has been reluctant to do that? The fear of, you know, appearing feminine or weak, or not in that expectation of what man is or what man does, and to that woman who may be male bashing her man, or so to speak, that is a lover of poetry.
One of the things I find is that people, they fear intimacy, because intimacy means that I have to subject myself to how you feel, and I have to share what I feel. So a lot of men don't want the responsibility of sharing their heart with people or women. And to me, that's bad. And I'll tell you why, because if you ever notice in relationships, the thing that ruins most relationships is lack of communication or limited communication. So you can say so many words that you've probably heard from someone else. And a lot of us do that. We'll say something that our friends have told us, our parents or something like that, without expressing how we really feel. So as long as you limit that communication, you'll never get an opportunity to know the opposite sex. So it's not feminine to me for me to express myself, because I want you to know who I am. I want to know who you are. Not to mention the communication from my heart is going to open up doors. It's going to say, well, look, I have grown to become comfortable with this person. So maybe I should start expressing myself just a little bit more. Now, the expectation shouldn't be that we do it the same. The fact of the matter is that you're willing to try it. You're willing to do it. And a lot of men, they'll make up some things. The men that I know, they'll say, well, I've been hurt before, so I ain't gonna tell her nothing. No, what it is, you want to manipulate the conversation and the relationship. You want this woman to do what you want her to do based upon a previous relationship where you probably didn't get the things that you wanted. So for me to become intimate with the woman, it had allowed me to get the things that I needed. You can want a whole bunch of things. I could want a brand new car, but if it don't have tires, then guess what? We ain't rolling. So it allowed me to open up to women and women to open up to me. And I find, you know, just like you said earlier, men thinking that poetry is feminine and weak. No, it's not, because the strongest part, again, is the communication, and communication has a mighty voice. So I got into that intimacy. I said, well, look, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. I want this woman to know that I need more than what's between her legs and what's on her chest. You know what I'm saying? I need you to talk to me. I need you to communicate with me. See, we fear this closeness with women because we fear the responsibility that comes with the heart. You know, we don't want to hear about the things that happened to you when you was a child, the things that you're going through with the loss of your parents and your health and things like that. And that's what ruins men opportunities of getting the woman that they could spend the rest of their lives with. Sex can only go so far, because you ever notice when you feed that flesh, you want to feed it a little bit more each and every time. And then you put a woman in a compromising position to where she's thinking, well, I'm not enough, I should give him something extra. Now you have violated the principles of your relationship based upon some greed that this man has. As far as women is concerned, communication, ask the right questions. You know what I'm saying? If you're a woman, I don't care if you got 10 kids and 5 babies daddies. If that man don't like children, then guess what? He ain't the man for you. Can you hear me? Because I can hear you. Okay.
Absolutely. No, I was muted. So
Yeah.
just so that I give you an opportunity
Okay.
to speak. But yes, that is so true. And you brought up something that was spoken between the words that you said, and you talked about how the past traumas impact our present. And many of us, you know, we women, we are aware that our past continues to show up. And sometimes we want to punish the next man for what the old man projected on us, or that we were exposed to. Not only that, sometimes we as women get stuck. We get stuck in our own selfish desires of wanting to be loved and wanting to belong somewhere or to have that connection with a man. But from a woman's perspective who has suffered from trauma and who spends her daily life faced with trying to just recreate her life so that the trauma doesn't make decisions for me now. How is it? I want to try to put this in a way to where our audience can understand. How is that undone business, that past trauma that's unresolved, how does it impact the man? Say a man who's dealing with trauma or a bad relationship that maybe didn't work, or has or maybe run through women, maybe have several baby mamas in a sense. How does that impact the man? We understand from a woman's perspective how our unresolved traumas and issues impact our life, but from a male perspective, how is that impactful to the male? Is it the same? Is it different? And does it resonate even in your business relationships?
Well, as far as a man going through trauma, and I can tell you that I did that for years with a woman that actually liked to fight. Can you believe that? We fought a lot. And it took me a while to fix Frederick. It took me a while to say, well, look, you're empty. You're hungering for something that you don't have right now, with hopes that it will come in the future. But when? When are you going to make the choice to deal with those things that had hurt your heart, that put you in this position where you feel like no one around you understands you, and you need something to fill your heart with, and it can't be various women? It was a whole bunch of question and answer sessions going on inside of me. And it was like, I don't have the answer to that. So I had to get wounded. I had to cry. I had to hurt. Yeah, I cried. As a man, so all you men out there, I cried, and I'm gonna let you know that. So it impacted a lot of relationships that I had from that point, because people, well, let me say, women that were in my life were trying to get me to cheer up, but they didn't know how to penetrate all that pain that I was experiencing from that relationship. You know, I had been with this lady so long. That's all I knew. I wasn't financially able. I wasn't capable spiritually. I wasn't capable emotionally, none of that stuff. So it got to the point where I was thinking, well, sex was my only outlet, but no, it wasn't. Because people need to realize, when you start having casual sex and that person gets up and leave, you alone still. Not only are you alone still, you have given that person a part of your soul. Now your soul is even more endangered, because you're going to yearn for that problem person that just left your bedroom. So I had to go through the bumps, the fights. I had to get my butt whipped, knocked out a few times, ran over a car in the bus, you know, and things like that. So I went through all those things that you can call traumatic, until somebody said, you know what, you need to fix you. So I flowed into music. I flowed into reading, church, and things like that. Anything that would allow me to heal, you know. And what people fail to realize, healing is a lifelong process. And it's like I had to continue it. Even now, it's like self-care, self-care, self-care. I got enough books and journals that I write in on a daily basis. But it's to answer that question, it's like it's still a daily operation. And
Absolutely, because I can sit here and I get up every day with me. I can't escape me. And if I don't do the work on me and I keep it at the forefront of my day, that meditation time, that calling my thoughts in and things like that, triggers, stimulus. It comes at us every day. And if we haven't mentally and spiritually, emotionally prepared for that, we can find ourselves regressing back. Even now, being in a marriage to where I feel as though I'm fulfilled and I feel satisfied, and I have a mate that I trust, and there could not be a better mate for me at this time in my life, who is so genuine and easy to love, and who is supportive and can connect with me in ways that anything that I've ever crossed paths with in the past could not tap into. Even with that, sometimes this mind thinks back and it goes back. And so you have to have enough in you to pull those thoughts and correct those thoughts. And so it is a daily walk. And so many people, they feel like, well, I'm healed from that, and I've done the work and whatever. So, and they're no longer doing the work on themselves, and it shows up in other areas of their life. There is no escaping the inner work. Our relationships, the things that we do, the people that we engage with, those relationships are only going to be as great as we are.
Right.
And that's a day-by-day basis. So I appreciate you even sharing that and bringing that to the forefront, because that is so true. You mentioned that you're married, correct?
Yes, I am.
So how is that relationship more fulfilled with you being in a good space compared to maybe some of your earlier relationships that were not so healthy?
Yeah. One of the things, I've been married 26 years, and in the beginning, I was still hard-headed. So I think my wife did not expect for me to mature. I think she felt that I was going to still be the non-caring, free-for-all knucklehead that, hung out with his friends and dance. We used to go out and smoke cigars and drink all the time and all that other crazy stuff. So I guess with her, she thought I wasn't going to change. So when I get to mentioning things like intimacy, she'd be like, well, what are you talking about? And I'd be like, intimacy, the closeness and all those other things. So even now, it's a struggle for her to get to understand that, as I've aged, things have changed, the responsibilities have changed, and the heart has changed. And it's much different than I was when I was single, but at the same time, she has to understand that I've grown to become her caregiver, because she's a 2-time transplant patient, and we've done dialysis at home and things like that. So when you faced with the responsibility that you need to take care of your mate, and the prayers that she doesn't go home, things change. It becomes more critical. And the more it becomes critical, again, more it becomes intimate. It's just a different type of intimacy. So those are the type of things that have ruled me and changed me into a better person. I can't say I'm great or perfect. I'll never say that. But things have gotten to the point where even the way I talk to her is different. So she'd be like, what did you just say? What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Used to fuss and cuss. Well, I got a 7-year-old too. So I have to show this child that there's some greater things of your dad that you need to know, because when my time comes, but I want to leave my son with something too. And with her, hopefully one day she'll understand who I am. I know it's been a long time, 26 years, but I keep telling her, I had to change the way that I was. It's a benefit to both of us in this relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can definitely, my husband and I, we had a conversation not too long ago, He was watching me here in the house. I mean, I was really just jamming with my music and going on. He said, you know, I've never seen you dance. He said, I've never seen you act like that. And I say, yeah, I guess it's a lot that you don't know about me. We don't really know each other. And that's kind of the way that I put it. And we're just 10 years in, and it's been a 10 years of really, you know, my kids growing up and moving on out the house and finding their own way. And now it's he and I having to get to know each other, to learn each other. But that comes with me doing the daily work on me and tapping into now my personality, which is evolving every day. Every day, my personality is evolving. I'm getting to know who I am. I'm getting to know the things that I desire and that I love, which over the years, you know, with trauma making decisions for me and the behavior showing up, you know, this tough girl syndrome that I adopted was my way of coping, my way of hiding what was really going on inside of me. So people never really got to know who Anntricia was. You know, they never got to know that side of me. So as I'm evolving, you know, I noticed that my personality, that genuineness begins to show up more. I'm a little more warm. And that shows up even on my job. Even on my job, I'm a little more open to greeting people, sharing a smile, and just letting my personality show. And I said that to say this: how has your ability to evolve as a man into your manhood and being secure in your own skin, how has that transitioned over into your business relationships?
Well, one of my two things, rather, that was my problem was fear and patience. Um, Fear of communicating with people in business as well as in my personal life. It was like, I don't want to do that. Oh, I fear doing that. But it's all about that communication, that intimate communication that I start having with people. And when people don't understand, I had to practice patience. Like, you know, you really don't get it. Oh my goodness. So I had an attitude problem, but it's helped me to communicate and build greater relationships. I started when we first came to 2020, nobody expected the pandemic to come and all the other nonsense. I said, I'm gonna start strengthening my business relationships. And what I was looking for, I will always tell somebody that I came in contact with, I'm looking for long-term relationships. I don't want short-term relationships. I want us to come together on whatever degree or level we need to come together, and let's keep it going. So in saying that, I was confident in those type of relationships until we all got locked in the house. So I said, well, Frederick, you fear talking to people because, you know, I'm the type of person, even in poetry, I wouldn't stand on the stage, I kid you not, and my mouth would dry like this because I'm speaking in front of a bunch of people. So I had a fear, you know, and it was like, no, you can't build long-term relationships, Frederick, whether it be business or personal with people, if you can't talk to them, you're afraid to say this. So I had to get past that rejection thing, you know, and say, you know what, I'm going to say it anyway. If you don't like it, well, thank you very much. Then move on to the next person. But know enough about someone. Even in our discussion now, we're talking about marriage and things like that. Doesn't mean I know all your business, don't mean you know all mine, but we able to keep this type of communication going on. Who knows, 10 years from now, we might say, hey girl, how you doing? Hey man, you know, something like that. But this is how it starts. It's open and honest communication. And like you said, being genuine when you do it. So in business, it's helped me do that. I have a business partner now. We like this. I mean, she be calling me Fred every morning. I'm like, stop calling me, it's too early. So she don't like to text, she like to call, but it has strengthened our relationship, you know, and she's gotten to know my family. I got to know hers. And when you have relationships like that, you have a love and a loyalty. And that's what a lot of us forget. We need loyalty in our relationships. So even in business, I have that now. Even in my personal life, I have that now. So it's helped a lot. did me becoming a little bit more mature. I'm still a student, don't get me wrong, but I ain't what I used to be. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we gotta always learn and be a student of learning, not followers, because that's where I think
yes.
we get trapped in somebody else telling us what to think and how to feel and where to go and what to do. So yeah, I always say that I'm a student of learning and not a follower. Yeah, so you talk about those business relationships and how it shifted in 2020. And that is actually when I was introduced to you. I met you on August Crenshaw's platform with
Yes.
the Authentic Collective there in her space. So fortunate enough, just reaching out and she and I crossing paths has helped me form more productive relationships with other entrepreneurs and business people out here in this big old world. And so I am very grateful for crossing paths with her and for the connections that I have made on behalf of crossing paths with her. So that's where you and I met. We spoke on a platform that is the same. And so there was no question in my mind that when I wanted to have a male guest on this show, that you are and were definitely a contender with that because of the past relationships that and being able to meet you and understand the character of the man. And so I commend you for your successes, because even since 2020, your businesses have evolved, correct?
Yes, absolutely. And I was surprised, especially during the pandemic with health and wellness. Um, I was down to one income in my house. And during that period, I ain't gonna disclose how much I made, but I was like, wow. So now with the travel agency that I do, since people are traveling now, soon as we came out of the keeping us in the house thing, the shelter in place, I start booking trips. So things just start growing. There's a time and place and a season for everything. And I was just happy about that. But to communicate with people, we all locked in the house. It was like, okay, now I get to really talk to folks because I can't go nowhere else. And a lot, it helped. It helped a lot. And I'm just grateful to God for that. Honestly, I am.
All right. So as we're getting ready to wrap up today, you are listening to the Woman to Woman podcast. Where here we have our first ever male guest co-host here on the show, Mr. Frederick Geiger. Fred, go ahead and tell us, our audience, where we can find you and your products, or just whatever you have to share with us here before we wrap it up today.
Okay, I'll make this quick. Well, one of the things that I offer, we offer what's called nutritional sprays, and they come in a, I don't know if you can see it because I got a little shadow, but we have some nutritional sprays that we offer, and basically you spray them in your mouth. And we have one that's called Beauty. It's for stronger hair, nails, and skin. It helps your skin. We also have one that's called Trim 365. This is for weight loss. It curbs your appetite and cravings for sugar. We have another spray called Passion. It helps with libido for both male and females. Just to give you an idea. And we also have CBD products, and this is a relief cream for muscle aches and joint pain and things like that. But this is, I don't want to take up and show totally like that, but I have a WordPress page. It's called exclusivelyfrederick.wordpress.com. And it'll have all the businesses that I do, which is travel agency, health and wellness by way of CBD and non-CBD products, and poetry. So my books are on there as well. So that's exclusivelyfrederick.wordpress.com. And if you're just interested in my health and wellness products, I have another website. It's called mydailychoice.com/Frederick 2020 2020. Or you can call me now, but that's basically how you can see all my products and services that I offer. And if you're interested in home-based businesses, I can help you with that as well.
That is awesome. And I was just sitting there looking at those sprays, which is something that most of us women are interested in one capacity or another, whether it's our hair, our skin, our nails, and even that libido, which is a whole nother can of worms for some of us women. We struggle with some of that, and that's something that we don't necessarily communicate with, not only with each other but even with our significant others as well. So women, if you're out there, which I know you are, and you have are experiencing some issues or challenges in any of those things with your hair, your skin, your nails, your libido, or whatever, reach out to Frederick. I can say that he is someone that I trust, and that I trust his advice and his expertise on any of those things. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out on his website. Give us that website again, to where they can find you and or your products to connect with you.
exclusivelyfrederick.wordpress.com, and you'll see everything on there. It has a banner, looks like the one in the back.
All right. So we sure do appreciate you being here with us today. This has been wonderful, very insightful, for not only for me, but I know the listening audience. Again, until next time, on Woman to Woman, I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith.